And
Welcome to another
as
edition of Vigorously. We have a special appearance. Somebody's here. We heard the barking.
I
We
was just
heard
going to
the
say, and
barking.
as you started your intro, that was when Coda decided, now is my
Coda.
time. This is my cue. Yes.
Coda is actually band manager for Jules and The Howl. I don't know if you know this,
Yes, she is.
but
She is band manager and she is our official mascot because, I need a howler for Jules and the Howl. Let's see if this will
there
capture
you
it. There
go.
she is.
Oh, wait, she looks like a Sheena Ibu. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's exactly on point.
Boom! I love
Yeah.
dog breeds. I'm such a dog nerd. I want one so bad. I have a cat at home, and don't get me wrong, I love her, but I love dogs too. I
Dude, you
miss
killed
dogs.
it. You
Uh,
killed it. No, she's mostly Sheba, but she's got a little bit of coloring. Like, I don't know if you can
mhm.
see, but okay. Now she's like, now we're done.
No, she's
Um,
done.
she's done. She's like, thank you so much. Goodbye. No, so she has a little bit of different coloring in the back that is from
Mhm.
like the very small percentage that is like various shepherd mixes. So,
Oh,
so
okay.
she's not full bred Sheba, but she for sure has the attitude of one. So
Oh
yes,
my
but
God. She
anyways,
is a cutie. She is a
yeah,
cutie.
dude, she
Oh.
knows. She knows. She is the mascot of the Howlers. She's very unwilling to be. I've tried to have her in a few different like, videos or pictures or whatever. And I swear to God, as soon as I turn on the camera, she's like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Go fuck yourself. This is not happening. I'm not
And,
getting paid for this.
and we're just like, ma'am, all this barking, what was this for? Why? Why?
No, nothing. It was for nothing. It was for nothing. She just wanted to make sure that I was aware that there was someone outside. And I'm like, okay, I'm very happy
Mm-hmm.
for you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Healing that
Anywho,
anxious trauma slowly.
girl, she is too anxious for her own good, and she's too damn smart for her own good. So it's a daily struggle for her. I we got her in part for an emotional support dog, and I am the emotional support human. That's
Oh,
really, yeah,
it
that's really how
reversed.
that it reversed. It reversed. It's fine.
I
Wouldn't have
love
it any
this.
other way. It's fine.
Oh my God, this is one of the best intros I've ever had on the show. Welcome. Jules and the How in the building. If the Struts and the Killers basically had a three-way with a guitar, that is what their sound would be like. So thrilled to have you here, Jules. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm stoked to be here, and yeah, let's get to it.
I love it. I love Coda. I love everything I've been seeing on Instagram
Thank you.
lately.
Yes.
I know. I'm an animal lover too. So anytime an animal pops in, it's
Hell
completely
yeah.
okay. I will.
Hell
I will.
yeah.
I will accept pet pictures as currency. I have done that before.
I
I,
got you, dude. My phone is two things. Okay. It's like music crap, whatever, and then
mm-hmm.
Coda exclusively. Like I don't want anything else on my phone. I really don't. I really don't.
Period.
No, there's no need. There's no need.
Period. But
Yep.
talking about the music, we're in the midst of celebrating. I mean, at the time we're talking anyway, we're in the midst of celebrating that it's been a week since I Just Want to Feel Better has been out. How has the reception been?
Yes. It's been really great. It's been I think it's been one of those songs that has unlocked a lot of things in people. Like they were kind of like, oh, I mean, we've had music and we've had mental health, and then we've had the two being combined in a lot of ways. But I think it's nice when you hear someone else say, like, I just want to feel better. Like whatever the hell else is going on inside of me, I don't know what it is, I don't know why it is, I don't know where it came from, but I'm done with it, and I just want to feel better. I'm over it. And I think people who have reached out to me, they've been like, wow, that's actually really powerful just to kind of hear it like that, and that always means the world to me. My whole thing is trying to empower people to be their full and authentic selves, right? That's why I'm all about howling. That's why I'm all about, that kind of cathartic release of your emotions and
Yes.
expressing yourself that way. And I wanted to release this song to kind of get into the darker corners of things that you might need to release and get out of your system. And I did not plan this, but it really did work out that I released that song during Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, I was gonna say.
Yeah, that was a serendipitous, God universe play. I had, what had happened was I was going to release it in April, and I uploaded the wrong version. So that was cool. Yeah, no,
Oh,
my producer, I called my producer about something, and he was just like, you
BT
didn't upload
Dubs.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, I was like, oh, but I did. And he's like, oh, good job. I'm like, thank you. So had to go take that down and all that. And so I had to push out the release date. But it just totally worked. I was like, well, this was meant to be, wasn't it? So it was one of those like moments where, you know, I could have panicked and panicked and panicked and panicked, but I was just like, you know what, like no one is going to notice or care. And then it worked out even better. So yeah.
I know some sort of juju was involved there, some sort of divine intervention. Some
Yeah.
I mean, really, you've been and you've been fittingly, very fittingly, calling it a mental health anthem, really, since it's been out. Tell me about your own mental health journey and what inspired you to write this and make mental health the center of it.
Sorry, I'm not smiling at you. I'm like
It's
debating
Coda.
if I need. It's Coda. Yo,
It's
girl,
Coda.
give me like 2 secs. I'm gonna put her in the other room. Okay, give me one sec.
Yep.
She's been temporarily fired from being my manager. Temporarily.
Either that or she had to drop a deuce or something. I don't know.
It's both. It's probably both, to be honest. It's probably both. It's fine. I'm sorry. You asked me a very insightful question. I completely forgot it.
It's okay. We were talking about I Just Want to Feel Better. It's a mental health anthem. We love the branding of the fact that it's a mental health album or mental health anthem, because what else would you call it? So tell me about your own mental health journey. What inspired you to write it and center it around mental health?
I would love to. I am extremely open about my mental health journey. I struggle with anxiety and depression. I have been in and out of therapy for I think 5 or 6 years, give or take. I think everybody should be in therapy. I think everybody has trauma. And I think therapy has 1000% made me a better partner, a better friend, a better version of myself, and just in general, better. It's helped me kind of just clear up some things and connect the dots in a way that made me feel more focused and more centered, I would say. So it's not like the end all be all, it's not the cure, but like for me, like just being able to kind of talk it out and let it out, and kind of like let it go. Like once it's not like buried deep inside you, my whole thing is like, I really believe that you shouldn't hold on to things. You shouldn't fester it. You shouldn't let it just kind of like, you know, bury itself deep within you, because then it just sort of like becomes a part of you in a very, very negative and ineffective, unimpact. What am I trying to say? Just a bad way. Just becomes very like just ingrained in your DNA, I feel like, and it just kind of permeates the rest of your body. And rather than let that be embedded in you and in your DNA, what if you found music that was just literally encouraging you, just let that all out, vocally, physically, whatever, like howl it out and let it go. And that's my whole thing. I would much rather you, that I live my truth of, you know, what I struggle with, what I go through with anxiety and depression, you know, my struggles with like, you know, even just the day to day to like the long term and the short term of like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What is my next plan? You know, and all that. And I think also too that while I kind of have maybe a borderline controversial opinion where I do think that at the same time, mental health has kind of been glamorized in a way. Okay. You know, like it's sort of become a little bit trendy sometimes where it's like, ooh, well, I also have this and I have this too. Feel bad for me. And I don't think that's the way to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's just, you know, like that's just kind of taking advantage of like a movement or taking advantage of something that really does hurt a lot of people. And I've definitely been guilty of sometimes, you know, teetering on the edge of that when I perhaps didn't mean to. But I think if you're trying to do it in a way where it's like, hey, you're not alone. I also struggle with this. And I make it a part of my purpose in life to connect with other people because of what I go through, then that's one thing. And that's kind of what I try to use it for. Like, I'm not trying to be all like, yeah, I have this. I'm popular. I'm great because I have this. I'm in the club. I'm in the anxiety club. Like, you don't want to be in it, dude. Nobody wants to be in that club. Okay. Nobody fucking wants. No, we are not willing participants in the anxiety and depression club. Like this is.
No, I did not ask for the heart palpitations, for the waking up with night sweats at 2 a.m. because I'm worried about that. Oh, no.
That's shocking. Ask. You didn't ask? Oh, okay. That's fine. No, me neither. I get it. No. And it's like, what, you didn't ask for the crippling bouts of dread and existential crises on a multiple days at a time that just send you into a tailspin? What? No.
Just a random Tuesday where you can't function at work or whatever. No. Or that random night you were like, maybe drowning myself in pills sounds like a good idea. Nobody wants you know what?
That. You're like, I don't feel the need to exist anymore. But actually, no, I'm good. But just at the current moment, I just don't feel the need. Like, I'm not going to do anything about it, but like, it's like, let's just not.
We have the same sense of humor. I'm so grateful. We have the same. I'm like, anybody else would have been like, that shit's dark. I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong?
Dude, this is the whole thing with me. My therapy sessions are mostly making my therapist laugh. And it's not like, it's kind of a coping mechanism. I acknowledge that, but it's also honestly because like, I have to laugh at this. Like I have to, like, there's just too much going on that like, if you don't laugh, then like, how else are you going to find some kind of levity, a silver lining in it, kind of a thing?
Well, yeah, and at some point it just becomes it is what it is. I also think there's a reason why some of the funniest people in the world that we know are usually 9 times out of 10 facing some sort of anxiety, depression, or some other mental illness. Like, there's a reason for that.
No, 100%. I mean, and I think that's kind of what makes them relatable, right? That makes them human, and especially in social media. I had a great conversation even the other day with this fantastic artist. You should have her on your podcast. Her name is Leah Martin Brown. And she is amazing with social media strategy, particularly. And one of the things that she said to me, she was like, I think that people are really sick of being advertised to, because we are one of the most like pitched to generations like ever, because we have the ability to literally be exposed to like 1 million ads a second. And I was definitely guilty of being like promo. And instead I'm kind of trying to kind of dial that back and lean a little bit more into like my authenticity in terms of like, okay, well, this is me as a person / these are other things that I do / like, hey, a little bit about me kind of a thing. And she definitely was kind of like helped me recalibrate my brain with that. So yeah, I know I kind of took that on a bit of a run here, but
it makes sense. I was going to say that I did notice that when I was stalking your page. I was like, oh, she's got a couple of like life lately pictures, and that's how I knew about Coda before Coda met me. I was like, listen, pet picture, I'm in. But I'm talking about the carousels that just show little quick snippets of your life and what you're eating, what you're doing, who you're hanging out with, all that stuff is part of who you are. The mental illness isn't every single factor.
No, and it can't be. And the promo for me, like the last, because I just want to feel better was single number 3 out of 4 that I've been releasing basically since like January of this year, right? And so I've been in this kind of promo cycle, right, of my career here, where it's like, okay, here's the videos, here's the BTS, here's the recording in the studio of making of, here's the photos. Like I did all kinds of that, like and I shot most of it. I edited it. I was like, all right, here we go. This is what the people want to see. And they did for a while. And then I think they kind of got sick of it, which I understand, because it's like, okay, this is all that Jules is doing. Then like, like then she's just a talking head at a certain point. And like, not to say that promo isn't important, because it is. I do believe, and this is something that I preach also when it comes to musicians, like you very, very much need to have a business acumen as much as you do a musical acumen, if you want to succeed as an artist or as a working musician. And part of that is promo, is marketing strategies, is, sales, everything that goes into that. But at the same time, you're not just a marketing tool. Like your music is not just, like, while that is important because you got to get it out there, it's not the whole picture for you are, right? I mean, even my husband the other day, he knows I'm a big Pink fan, right? I fucking love her. She's a goddess.
I saw her last summer. It was one of the greatest shows of my life.
Oh my God.
The acrobatics in heels, in platforms.
Yeah.
What?
Who opened for her? Because I know she had a couple different openers.
I saw her with Group Love and Brandi Carlile. I know.
We can't. We can we? Okay, I've enjoyed talking about me. We can just start talking about that for the rest of the podcast. Thank you so much. No, because I'm fucking obsessed with Brandi Carlile and with Pink. You want to talk about you want to talk about 2 women who just live authenticity to a core. Like those are the women. Both of them. Like they are unapologetically themselves in every which way. And their concerts have that vibe. Their music has that vibe. It's like there's no filters in between, while simultaneously still being able to have some level of like you know, okay, this is my space, this is my family, this is your space, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, boundary.
Boundary, thank you, that's the word. You know, like they're able to still have that while still at the same time making you feel like, oh my god, I'm talking directly to you.
Yeah.
So no, fucking obsessed with Pink, fucking obsessed with Brandi Carlile. So Pink, anyway, even my husband was like, he was like, you know, think about all the videos that like you watch of Pink talking about her life. Like, yeah, her music too, that's all fine and good, but like learning more about Pink as a person, as an artist, you know. And I was like, that's so true. So yeah, I love Pink.
It's proof. I mean, every time we get a little snippet of her and Carrie and the kids, and we're just like, oh my god, fun,
yeah,
cuteness,
yeah. I'm like stock.
Or just, you know, when she talks about her own mental health experiences. And to me, Pink was one of the first artists that I remember seeing. I mean, other than like the Spice Girls and Avril Lavigne, she was one of the first ones that was like, you can be all about girl power and being you, but you don't have to have a necessarily strictly traditional feminine look to do it.
No. Oh yeah. No. And it's like, you can have a marriage, you can have a family, and still but without necessarily being like, and now I am. And that's the thing too. It's like, there's so many, you know, definitions of like what it is to be a woman, right? Like whether you're super feminine, you're super masculine, you're married, you're not, you're gay, you're not, you have kids, you're not. That's, you know, it's like, oh, do you have children, right? Because we're often defined by whether or not we have a partner and whether or not we have children. And I've struggled with that because I've known two things my whole life. One, I want to be a musician, and two, I want to be a mom. And I've had a hard time reconciling that, because it's like, on the one hand, like music is such an investment of your time and resources and everything else. And it's also a career that values, you know, you being sexy and you being fuckable and you being available, versus, you know, being a mom, which is typically unsexy and very, you know, like, oh, well, she had her chance, you know, she just gave up on her career and decided to have kids, you know. And then simultaneously, like, if you are a mom and you have a career, like, so many times you're just like, oh, well, do you really have time for your kids? Like, are you a good enough mom? And it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of a thing. So I have found all that particularly to be fascinating with them relating it back to people like Pink and like Brandi Carlile, who she does have kids. Yeah. So it's just been interesting though, to like kind of see all those ecosystems too that kind of go into that. So
yeah. And I'm glad they're proving us wrong on that. I'm glad that they're proving, no, I still have a healthy following and I still have a healthy fan base, and I'm still a rock star. Like, like, watch me go on this tour bus and take my entire family with me, because they want to go and they want to have fun. And my kids are going to be really fucking smart because they've traveled all over the world and seen so many things.
Right, exactly. And I'll be nursing them backstage and going back on and, you know, closing up the nipple and be like, all right, here we go, ready to do it.
Let's go. Let's put on the acrobatics again.
Let's fucking go. Exactly. No, and that's Pink to a T for sure. She's like, no, this is exactly what I do. So
this is it. Period. Speaking of what you do, the keytar. We love the use of the keytar. We love the love for the keytar. When did you realize that that was something that was going to be a big part of your life, or that you just love keytar?
I think I got it about 2-3 years ago, give or take. I've been doing piano since I was like 7. And what I always hated was that I was just stuck behind the keys. And even just visually, when you had, like, whenever I had the keyboard in front of me on stage, because I'm fronting a band and I have the keyboard kind of created this barrier almost between me and the audience. Like, here's this piece of board and you're there and I'm here and that's it, you know? So I didn't love that. And when I'm playing keys, like, I can't move. Like, that's it. Like, I am stationary. And I always was jealous of, you know, the guitarists and the bassists. You know, they would have this moment on stage where, like, you know, they like go up to each other and they're like touching guitars and they're like soloing with each other and they're like having a moment. No one wanted to have a moment with the keys player. That was very me, and I didn't like that. So I wanted to have more mobility on stage, and I saw the keytar one day and I was just like, oh my God, this is the answer to my prayers. So I saved up and I finally got the thing, and her name is Scarlett, my keytar. And Scarlett and I have been best friends ever since.
Oh, we love Scarlett. Scarlett
We do.
does have a very pretty color to her. I've seen her pictures. She
Yes, she's
does.
gorgeous. She's
She,
gorgeous. You can actually take off the red part and like spray painting and shit. And I'm probably gonna do that at some point. But for now, I just really love the sleek black and red. It just makes such a statement. Like
it
I
does.
love it. Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Those are
yeah.
like,
And
if rock and roll had a flag, those would be the colors, black and red.
dude,
I think so.
dude. Yeah, no, red alone is such a vibrant color. It's because talking about branding, right? Like it's a color of love, of power, of emotion, and it's very, very loud. And black, of course, is like the opposite of that in many ways. So to kind of juxtaposing them together, it's like just this
Yes.
ultimate like power. It's great. Yeah. No,
That's
so I
that's
think
the that's the spirit of it.
yeah.
Another slightly busy, like businessy, nerdy type question, because it made me think of when you were talking about how you were able to assess when your audience got bored with the promo part.
Yeah.
You were actively able to notice that, pay attention to that, mark that as a note, and say, okay, let me switch it up from here. How do you tell? How do you know when they're just over it? What can we learn from that?
I mean, just even looking at your analytics, honestly, just your view count,
Yeah.
your likes count, like just even what people say in the comments, honestly. Like if you just
Mm,
like if you're getting more emojis than you are actual words from people, then you're
okay.
not really exciting them as much, in my opinion. In my opinion.
Okay.
So and I'm still kind of like figuring out. I think that's kind of the thing too with the algorithm that, is so hard. Because on the one hand, it's like you put so much effort into like some of the, creating these videos and these photos and whatever. So you don't always know what sticks, and the algorithm is changing literally constantly. So I'm not trying to keep up with the algorithm. What I am trying to kind of take a step back on and recalibrate is like, okay, let me also show that I'm a real person and that I'm
Mm,
relatable, because at the end of the day, your whole hope and goal, in my opinion, as an indie artist, is to build your super fan community, right?
mm.
In my case, they're called the Howlers, right? And
Yes.
I'm trying to build people who like genuinely are just so excited about being a part of this world that I've created, right? Like with the music to coda to keytars to, I'm a big craft beer gal. So like stuff like that, just like, you
Yes.
know, yeah, like just like, okay, what, just being a part of this world, because then like if you're excited about me, then you're gonna care a little bit more about the content that I put out when it
Mhm.
is time to promote, right? Like if you get to know me and you have a connection with me, even though it is through the screen, then you're gonna care a lot more once I start putting out the marketing, the promo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's just really kind of building your audience. And it's a very, very, very slow and tedious process. But I do believe that like there is also a tipping point as well, where that it
Mhm.
it, it does then, eventually kind of just go poof, and then
Yeah.
it's awesome from there. It kind of spreads like wildfire.
People forget that it takes time. I swear to God. Like some people even think, oh, if I'm on a reality show, I'll magically have 10,000 followers overnight. And it's like, no, not
No,
always.
sweetie,
Not
no.
always.
Well, and it's funny too. Oh God, I really don't know who I was watching. It was I have a couple of indie music marketing people that I follow, and I can't remember who it was, but he basically said that he was at some kind of event recently
Mhm.
with like big labels, right?
Mm.
And in recent years, these big labels would just be chasing the viral videos, the viral songs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the problem oftentimes was that these people who had a viral hit, they had no other music, they had no
Mhm.
following, they had
Mhm.
no kind of acumen of what the hell they were doing. And then essentially it was just like starting over from scratch. And I even heard of a case where this guy, that's the thing too. It's like 15 seconds of a song, right? And people only want
Yeah.
to hear the 15 seconds of the song that's gone viral, right? I heard of a situation of this guy who he sold out like, this one of these big, big venues in LA. And he played the same song that went viral like 6 times
Oh,
in the
God.
same show, because that was really all that people came for. And he didn't really have much else. So,
Oh.
so I think labels are getting kind of sick of like finding like this like initial like hot rocket that really has no fuel behind it.
Mhm.
And they're kind of going back to investing into their own people, whatever. But all that is to say is that like even if you do go viral for a second or whatever, like you have to have something in the back to capitalize on that, to really then like you have to have the foundation
Mhm.
to really then utilize that, take advantage of it, and grow it from there.
Yeah, the substance is what we're getting at. The substance
Yeah.
is what's super, super important. Let's go back to the immense gratitude that you have for everybody that's part of the band, the wolf pack that you
Yes.
work with. What do you think it takes to build such a strong community around you?
I think it takes being I'm a very open, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I try to make people feel like they are worthy and worthwhile.
Mm.
I did not always feel that way growing up, right? Like I was bullied, I struggled making friends, and I know what that
Mhm.
right.
Hey, me
Yeah,
too.
right. All the cool kids were, it's fine. And I know what that's like, and I know how far down you can go in a spiral because of those feelings. And
And very quickly.
yeah, and so anytime I'm in a room with people and with musicians, I kind of automatically light up, and I'm just like I become very like openly giving, like emotionally, like energetically speaking. So I think my energy does attract the right people, and just attracts people to kind of like have an a good like connection with me, like a safe connection with me. They're like, oh, she cares, she's legit, she's real. I think also my work ethic, like I work very, very, very hard. And I know a lot of indie musicians too. And now that's not to say that the hustle culture is a good thing, because I don't think it is. I think it's actually burned out a lot of artists, myself included. But I do
Mm.
think that you need to have the work ethic to go behind it. I think also it's so important when you're working with people who are trusted peers. And I'm saying this because again, like you can't take advice from everybody, and you shouldn't, who are
Mm.
trusted peers or trusted advisors. You have to be able to take constructive criticism, because if you do not, then you will not grow, and
Yeah.
you will not make better music with better musicians and better partners.
Mhm.
So I think also too, honestly, just showing gratitude. Like I constantly do my best to make sure that everybody feels like they matter, and that I am grateful that they're there, and that I'm grateful that they are a part of the experience with me. You know, whether they were a producer, a musician who recorded, a musician who is performing live with me, a songwriter. I'm always trying to be like, hey, I'm really glad you're here, and I'm really glad that you're a part of this with me, because you're making this better, right? Like I don't want I come from a musical theater background, right? And
So
I
many
was
of us do.
right.
So many of us do.
I know. It's very shocking, I'm sure. Very shocking. I was in show choir before Glee was a thing. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
Oh,
Okay. I was
okay.
doing those jazz hands before any of
Wait,
those other people were. Okay. I was in show choir camp. I got my first kiss at a show choir camp. Yes, yes, I
it's
did.
always theater camp. It's always
Always
listen,
theater camp.
theater camp was hookup central sometimes.
Okay,
It really was.
it was, except for my high school, because it was such a small department, and it was mostly girls, and
Oh,
like
okay.
it was like mostly girls and like a few guys, and it was like let's all flock around the two straight guys kind of a thing.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
so
that
that
was our choir
yeah.
too.
Yeah. So I think there's that element too. But so anyway, so with theater and show choir, I'm bringing all that up because I came from like a group mentality, right? Like
Yeah, I understand.
let's come together and get the common goal done. And
Mhm.
so even though I'm a solo artist, I still love, like I thrive off of the energy of being on stage with other people.
Mhm.
I did the solo act for a while, just me and a piano, and it was not nearly as fulfilling for me, in my opinion.
For that
Um,
reason, because you
yeah,
just weren't there wasn't that exchange of energy.
no, yeah, and I think it's a communal experience, right? And so being able to then have your music be the communal messaging and the thing that we're all sharing a part of, like
Yeah.
that's an even more empowering feeling to me. So no, I think it's a share. I think it should be, music should be a shared experience. That's why I love rocking out with my drummers, my bassists, my guitarists, my other singers, whoever the heck else it could be.
Yeah, you and I have that mission in common. Truly, we just want. I think we both want to be representation, and we
Mm-hmm.
want to be as open and as possible as we can. Because I would love a world where there's room for everyone too. I know you and I
Yeah.
have that comment. I mean, period.
Yeah.
That's really all we want. Do you think, I mean, because we still see the haters online, we still see the trolls,
Mm.
we still see the misogyny, we still see the racism out there. And sometimes when that's plastered all over the news, it can feel like we're absolutely no closer to that utopia, we'll call it, than before. Do you think things are going in the right direction? In 2024, are we getting better with being more open, being more receptive, making room for everybody?
This is what I think. I think that I very much believe in, I think it's Socrates actually. Socrates has this, what would you call it? A tenet, a methodology. It's called the bent stick remedy. Okay. And,
Okay.
and the example that I was taught was like, imagine you're an alcoholic, right? So you're on this side of the spectrum and you go to rehab to then be completely sober on the other side so that hopefully one day, maybe you can be back to center where you can be at a party with alcohol, maybe have a drink and not go on the other side.
Yeah.
So there has to be that kind of like really drastic correction to then hopefully get to a happy medium. I think that's kind of where we're coming down from in society. I think in recent years, we've had a really incredible reckoning of like, there's a lot of shit that's fucked up in this world. I think it kind of went a little too far this way to the point where we were maybe focusing on the wrong things and maybe kind of getting caught up in like labels and this and that to where we got kind of distracted from what the core messaging was, which was that just, hey, let's just all treat each other with, respect. And that's really all it is. It's not like, I do think that on the one hand, people were absolute fucking assholes, but then we also became way too sensitive and
Sometimes,
way too, like I think it got to the point where like sensitive to the point where it was like, oh, we're going to get really upset about the tiniest things. And then we lose focus on what we're ultimately upset about. Like, like what are we ultimately upset about? We're not upset about the symptoms. We're upset about the ultimate cause. So I to answer your question, I'm hopeful that we have done enough of the work to shed enough light on like, hey, here's what's going on. I do think though that our tensions have gotten too high and everybody's political now. Everybody has an opinion, and I think that we kind of have to simmer down a little bit and go forward. I know that may or may not be a popular opinion, but in terms of like haters online, I welcome them because to me, that means that I'm getting somewhere. Honestly, anytime, any and every time I posted a keytar video and someone was like, oh, you're faking it. Oh, girls can't play a guitar like this, or a keytar, whatever. Like, I love it. I like literally, there have been a few times where I've screenshotted them to my producer and I'd be like, look
at this one. Look at this one.
And Tom, my producer, he would get so pissed at me because he's like an older brother to me, and he would get so mad. He'd be like, "Where are they at?" I'm like, don't worry about it. They're probably in mom's basement downstairs. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
That's always where they are.
It's always where they are. It's fine. The little urchins. It's fine. So in that sense, I welcome it. I think it, I mean, can it be hurtful? Yes. I think I just think that at the end of the day, like if you're spending so much time tearing other people down, then really it's just a mark on how you feel about yourself.
It is.
I was trying to answer your question kind of in twofold. Like, here's my existential overall, but then in terms of like where we are in our smaller microcosm, that's kind of how I think of it as well.
No, I'd have to say I agree. I mean, there have been times where I felt like there is somewhat of an overcorrection in some instances, an overcorrection of the thing, to the point where, okay, we don't want to repeat what we've been doing, but now we're also starting to penalize the people who are at least trying and want to learn.
That's the point.
That's where it gets sticky for me too. Like, I don't want to be so intense that I'm scaring away somebody who's at least willing to be open and learn and be like, oh, let me be accepting of somebody's pronouns, because at the end of the day, it means more to them than it ever will to me. I can at least like learn to roll with that.
Right.
Period.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about pronouns, like without getting too political, I'm with you. Like, I think that is, but see, what that comes down to is respect, right? Hi, I am asking
Period.
that this is what it's saying. But then at the same time, I can't be like attacking you every time that I get it wrong, or, using you as an example of what is wrong with the world either. But simultaneously, I don't think it's fair for me to be, like, okay, well, fuck you and fuck that. I think it's kind of like, again, like, it's compromise. It's come to the table. It's like, what are you ultimately trying to get at? Right? Like, what do you, it's like, ultimately, like, if I'm pissed off that you're asking me to, call you by a certain pronoun, what am I ultimately getting at? I'm ultimately getting at I don't think that you respect what I view language is and what I view, like, pronouns should be, this and that. It's really just like, that's really what it comes down to. So I think that people are getting too turned out and turned about over just nonsense.
Right. Or though I've seen people that have felt like, I mean, I live essentially in rural Minnesota. So I see this almost daily where it's like, well, you're trying to change my way of life. And it's like, skirt. No. This means that person is simply asking to be recognized as the human that they want to be.
Yeah.
As they go about their life. This has absolutely nothing to do with you and your way of life. It's not an insult to any. It has absolutely nothing to do with you.
That's my whole point.
When we work together, why don't we work this way? That's it.
Right. That's my whole point. Like, I have family who are extremely on the other side of the spectrum than I am. And like with the trans thing, right? Like, they get so, like, viciously angry, like, it boils their blood. It's like
it's a personal attack, and it's like,
it's a personal attack. I'm like, how often do you encounter these people?
Firstly, yes.
Like, they are, like, just statistically, LGBTQ, it's a smaller percentage of the population than you might think. Okay, the T part is even smaller than that. So really, how often is this an inconvenience to you? Very rarely, right? Okay, so on the off chance that it is, maybe we can, like, have a little bit of decency for the other human and just, call them whatever the hell they're called. But again, then the grace, I think there should be grace, being like, hi, I'm sorry, I'm not used to calling you he, she, they, whatever. I'm just not used to it. I'll try my best. I will try my best. Great. Okay. Thank you for your mutual understanding. Goodbye. That was my handshake. That was my attempt at shaking my own hand. Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
But that is where we meet. The trying is where you meet in the middle. And that's all I hope.
Right. Trying. I agree.
Period. Well, what's next for you? What can we look forward to coming from you musically?
Yeah, so I have my fourth and final single of this series. It's going to be called Bow Down, which is that I won't bow down to you, and you can't tell me what to do. Like, don't tell me what to do. Don't bother. Don't try.
That's the energy.
Yep. So it's going to be probably the hardest, heaviest hitting of the 4 songs, I would say. Has a gnarly guitar solo in it from Frankie Lindia. He's great. And I am also putting together a Women in Rock concert out in LA. It'll be myself, Bree, who's another great friend of mine and musician, and Izzy T, she's from London originally. She's badass. And we have one more TBD that's going to be coming together in July. So it'll be a really just badass, like, rock, women, let's all come together, have a good time kind of thing. So that'll be fun. So those are kind of the 2 main things. I am actually also, fun fact, in a musical theater tribute band, which is so much fun. It's so much fun. Yep. We basically just perform all of your favorite songs from Broadway, some costume changes, a little bit of choreography and whatnot. So it's kind of how I get my Broadway rocks off. So I have a couple shows with them, and I have an acoustic show coming up with some dear friends of mine. One of them is, I call her my musical mama. Her name is VK Lynn. She has pink hair. I have purple hair. So another reason why we get along. And yep. So doing that, and so shows and more music, and just going on more of a journey, honestly, of figuring out, like, you know, what's next for my career and kind of figuring out, okay, what's the next step apart from like shows and music. So yeah.
All the things. I can't wait for it all.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cool.
Jules, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your time.
Hell yeah. Val, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to catching up with you soon.